Going live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Life is one of the heaviest beams one can try to support. It is known to go through storms that contain heavy winds and downpours. But you are built to stand and not collapse. I challenge you to grow out of your comfort zone. The biggest giant you will ever face in life is your mindset. One of the biggest things that limit us and keep us defeated is the opinion we have of ourselves. When I changed my mind, it changed my life. I didn't just survive, I bounced back better. Bounce 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 back better.
Hello there. Happy Sunday. Thank you for tuning in once again to LifeStruction with Eric. I'm your host, Eric, and today we have a special guest, Miss Stephanie McKinney. First of all, I'd like you guys to click that share button. Take the time to click that share button. Matter of fact, tag 3 people right now. Tag 3 people. Tell them they need to tap in with us. We're going to have an awesome discussion today talking about relationships, being in it to win it. So definitely tag 3 people right now and tell them to tap in. They do not want to miss this. Hope everybody had a great week and you're enjoying your Sunday so far. As I said previously, we have a great speaker today, Miss Stephanie McKinney, and she's going to just give it to us about relationships. My spiel on this, as we discuss, basically how to construct a healthy relationship, being in it to win it. You know, when we first meet someone and you feel moved to create a blueprint and build with them, me personally, I feel like we must confirm that they have a strong foundation. You know, we shouldn't be mesmerized by their looks. Well, maybe a little, just joking. But no, we shouldn't be mesmerized by their looks, what type of car they drive, how much money they have. We need to hang out with them long enough to see, you know, if they have mood swings, if they have anger issues, if they have baby mama or baby daddy drama, you know, if that's going to be a problem. You know, do they have bad credit? If they have bad credit, are they working on credit restoration? You know, what do we have in common? What is it that we absolutely don't like about it? What is it that totally irks your nerve with them? You know, I could go on and on, but it's things like that that can break a relationship. So it's mandatory that we study their foundation, but before we start to build with them, because if not, before we know it, we'll have been built an unbalanced relationship, and that can be a very big issue. But anyways, I'm not going to take up too much of your time. As I stated, I'm honored to have an amazing vessel. I met her years ago. She married good friends of ours, and we've managed to stay in contact. She's that person, when she opens her mouth, the entire room focuses in on her. She's a woman of God, first and foremost. But what I love most about her is how she can reach all walks of life, the way that she delivers her message. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to a great friend and great woman of God, Miss Stephanie McKinney, and she's going to come in and speak with you guys about relationships, constructing a healthy relationship and being in it to win it.
Hello, everyone. I am just thrilled. I am thrilled beyond belief that Eric reached out to me and asked me to do this. It helps humble me. It helps me understand that what I'm doing in the body of Christ and in my life every day, it means something, and that somebody sees the works that I do. We're going to talk about a lot of things today. And I'm not going to keep everything biblical, you know, so that we can relate, because whenever you try to get too deep, you know, you get to lose people. But I want you all to stay on board, because I kind of, as I tell Eric, and he knows I shoot from the hip and I tell it like it is. I've been there, done that, got a t-shirt and a cookie and a bag of chips to tell you, so we can all sit down and have a good time. That I've been married for 25 years now, this year, 25 years. And yes, thank God. And it was not easy, getting to just that 25 years, through that 25 years. But the journey leading up to the very first year was very challenging. And a lot of things happened during that journey to awaken me, open my eyes to life and the way that life really is and the way that people really are. So I am a mother, a wife, a grandmother of 7, and I could actually say that I'm in a happy marriage. And a lot of people who are in marriages can't say that. They're existing. They're just there. You're doing things, you're tiptoeing around trying to please the other person instead of trying to see what it is that's going to make it tick. So um, I just want to express to you the importance of being in it to win it. You go into things with a mindset of what you want, how you want it, and why you want it. And a lot of times when we approach things from the superficial point. It's the cover that attracts us first. It's the cover. But once it's like an onion, and you take that onion and you cut the onion, but once you start peeling back those layers, there's so many things that get exposed, including the odor.
Yeah.
So you have to be prepared to know that what you saw on day 1, day 2, month 1, year 1 is not the same thing that you're going to see in month 2, year 2, and so on and so forth. Things change, people change. If you met someone and that someone stayed the same the whole time you were together, how boring would that be? And how predictable it would be. You don't want to be with someone that you can tell everything. That there was a movie that was out that was done by Tyler Perry, and I think it was called Mr. Deeds or something like that. And he was getting ready to marry um, the girl, and every morning she would get up and he would be getting dressed and she would get dressed, and she would say, he's going to ask about the blue tie. He's going to say, oh, somebody's forgot to put the shoe trees in the shoe. And exactly when she said it, that's when he said it. They went to have breakfast and she said, oh, honey, what do you want for breakfast? And he says, oh, I want, and she's standing at the refrigerator going, I want the oatmeal with them. And so everything about him was predictable. But the minute that he changed, it threw everything and everybody off guard because you're used to seeing one particular way. So that's the way your marriage should be, unpredictable, to the point that you remain in a position to learn, to grow, and not become stagnant and boring, so to say. Your marriage should be fun. Your marriage should be adventurous. Your marriage should be spontaneous. Your marriage should be so many things that give you life. God said he gave you life and gave it to you more abundantly. So why aren't you living it? Live your life. Let your light so shine so that others can see your works. That means that you have to let the inside come out and you need to glow. You need to allow that partner that you have to see the other side of you, not just the prepping side, not just the I just got to meet you side. You got to let them know that there's other assets to me. There's other levels to me. A female, she has so many levels, and a man can attest to that. It's like so many levels that we have, and we expect for a man to reach everyone, which is an unrealistic expectation. because we're steadily evolving, we're steadily changing. So, in order for us to have that stable relationship, the stable, firm marriage, you have to first begin with a firm foundation. You have to begin with positive communication, open communication. You have to know how to trust, and that begins with you. Because if you came from bad relationships, you have to be careful not to carry over those bricks and that baggage from that other relationship into this one. Well, this one, he did this to me, so I know this one gonna do it too, because it looked like he got traits. No, you're giving this man, you're judging him before you even get a chance for him to even show you the person that he truly is. So you need to find you need to build that firm foundation. You need to build that communication. You need to build the trust, and you need to have integrity. Integrity speaks a lot. It speaks a lot to you as a person. Your integrity speaks louder, really, than anything else, because that's all that some people have to go by, is how you are indoors, outdoors, in the dark, and in the light. Are you are you the same? Or when we turn on the light, you scatter like a roach. What is it? So we just have to be careful at how we define the marriage, why we're getting married in the first place. Why? Is it because they said, oh, you two need to get married, or you are so cute, you should get married, or, we've been celibate too long, and I can't hold out no more, so now you're pressured into getting married. So there's many different facets as to why people get married, but make sure that the reasons that you're getting married are also reasons that will keep you married.
Right.
Because they change. They change. The expectations of the other person changes. It's not always his fault. It's not always your fault. But look at yourself. Define yourself. Reevaluate yourself and say, am I bringing what we need into this relationship? Or am I going at it one step at a time here and putting a drop here and a drop there and see what they do with it? No, that's testing somebody's patience.
Right.
But you need to bring your whole self in. You need to open yourself up. Even though you've been hurt. We've been there, done that. You've been hurt. Okay, it hurts. But that sheds and puts a damper on your future relationships because you're carrying it with you. So how do you deal with that? Through prayer and supplication. That's how you deal with that. Through understanding that all people are not the same.
Right.
You can't put everybody in the same basket. You can't do that. You can't allow him to be the person that he is when you're steadily comparing against what you had opposed to what you have. So you can't do that. You can't make him feel that he needs to walk on eggshells with you in order to appease or not to say something that Joe Blow said to you in the last relationship. He said that to me, or he did that to me. Well, okay. Does that make me that same person? No. Now, the other part too is the abusive relationships. That's a deep situation right there. Abusive relationships. Are you with him because he threatened or she threatened? Are you in it because you don't think that you can do better? Or he's providing everything, okay? And without him, you're nothing. What is that all about? I'd rather cry knowing that you're leaving than to die because you stayed. That is the honest truth. And for those out there who are going through abusive relationships, get help. Talk to somebody. Do something different. Be who you are supposed to be, and that is a strong, strong person, be it male or female, because there are abusive women out there too. Be it male or
Yeah.
yeah, be a male or female. You have to stand strong in your belief in what you will and will not accept. And just because it's this way with this person, because he told you that you can't be nothing and do nothing without that person, prove that person wrong by being who you are. Prove it to yourself, not necessarily to them, but prove it to yourself that you are worth life, and you're worth life more abundantly. You're worth getting up every morning with a smile on your face, eager to live out the day without feeling pressured, without feeling that you have to meet up to somebody's standard because he said so or she said so. No, you be
Mm-hmm.
you. You be you. Because if you're living for somebody else 24/7, where does that leave you? Who
Right.
are you? Who are you?
Mm-hmm.
And why are you here? So
Right.
that's my summation right there. And just put in the comments, if you have questions about that, I would love to hear the questions and get some answers to you. And if you need help, I'll give you some information at the end, where you can reach me, and we can have some heart to heart talks. Trust me.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. That was a beautiful spiel. And yeah, I could relate to everything that you said, beautiful. So few questions for you. Few
Mhm.
questions. So what would you say would be the best relationship advice that you've ever been given?
Girl, don't marry him.
And you did it anyway?
And I did it anyway. I did it anyway. Yes.
Uh-huh.
And it's not,
Yeah.
and it's really not to be funny, but it was the truth, and I didn't want to hear the
Right.
truth at the time. And that's what we do. We get so
Uh-huh.
enamored with this person, we get so, twinkled eyed, and God told me that this is the person. No, he didn't. No,
Right.
that was you
Right.
talking to yourself. It's in your sleep last night that
Mm-hmm.
told you that you were supposed to marry this person. It wasn't
Right.
God, because it was on iPhone that you heard it. And no, it wasn't God. But you're determined to do this because this is what you want and this is what you see. This is what you gotta
Right.
have. You looked at this man when he walked in the door, or this
Mm-hmm.
woman when she walked in the door. But the closer she got, it looks different, don't it? The
Right.
suit is dirty, the
Right.
dress is ripped, got
Uh-huh.
got janky sandals on and dusty shoes. What you wanted. But it's too late now because you done got into the relationship.
Right.
So yeah, that was my
Uh-huh.
best advice. Don't you marry him.
Uh-huh. Okay. So so if you're having a bad day, because I know you know, us men, we talk. We talk and we kind of compare, stories. Hope I don't get in trouble for that. But you know, asking you, if you're having a bad day, would you want your spouse to let you be and just give you your space, or would you want him to, cuddle on you, and try to, help you come around, to bring you out of that mood that you're in?
Well, that's a kind of tricky situation right there. If I'm having a bad day and I'm crying beyond measure or whatever, then I think the comfort of my husband helps me, helps me to calm down, helps me to rationalize and think things out a little bit better, knowing that he feels me. But if
Mm-hmm.
I'm having a bad day just because somebody at work did me wrong, or somebody cut me off on the street and I didn't come home with this attitude or whatever like that, it would be best to leave me alone. Just go ahead, because it don't have nothing to do with you. Okay.
Right.
So
Right.
but if you interject yourself, then it
Uh-huh.
becomes you. Then it will become you.
Right.
interjected
Right.
into something that you didn't have nothing to do with in the first place. But I think I would rather be left alone if I'm dealing with something that's personal. And if at a time I invite you in,
Mm-hmm.
then that's time that you get yourself involved in it. But allow that person to invite you into whatever they're going through.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Makes sense. It makes
They,
sense because it's kind of two-sided. So in so many
yes,
words, it depends on the situation, of
correct,
what got you in that mood on if you want to be loved on and if you want to
correct.
be left alone. It makes
Yes.
sense. It makes
Safety
sense.
first.
So, right. Definitely. Definitely. So with that being said, would you lie to your spouse, just to sort of kind of keep the peace, would you lie? If so, pretty much where do you think is a point where you draw the line?
I'm not a liar. Okay, that's the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and a lie means that I got to remember what I told you.
Right.
And I'm 65 now, and I'm not going to remember what I told you. So,
Right. Right.
but I don't think that the lie is going to help. The truth always works, no matter what it is.
Mm-hmm.
The truth is
Mm-hmm.
always the truth. So why do you feel a need to lie? Is it to shield yourself? Is it to protect his reaction? What are the reasons that you feel that you have to lie?
Right.
There shouldn't be.
Right.
There shouldn't be. Everything about you in your relationship should be above board. There shouldn't be
Mm-hmm.
a reason to lie,
Right.
because liars steal and cheat. Do you do that?
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
the way I would look at that. It's like there's really no reason to do that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And it makes sense because I guess that kind of comes off of that question kind of piggybacks off of what I asked earlier about, well, based what I said earlier about learning that person's foundation before
Correct.
you start to build with them. Because, if they constantly need, you know, reassurance, when things are not going their way and they, want to show out, then that's something you should have learned earlier. And that'd have been like a red flag where, I can't build with this person. So I guess that kind of goes off of that. So, yeah, totally understand. So living in today's society, the digital world, we all know it's tearing apart communication. How important do you feel communication is in a relationship? And how do you feel about texting your mate instead of actually talking to them? Because I hear a lot of stories of, people that they text more than they actually verbally communicate when they're in each other's presence. How do you feel about that?
In today's society, that's a really, really big subject, because that is our form of communication now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like the old school, where we had to pay to make a phone call, basically, or you made a phone, it was from the phone in the house and everybody heard your conversation.
Right.
But today's society is built up so much on communication through social media, which I really, really, I love social media for the purpose of why it was developed, but for the content that
Right.
it has acquired, I don't agree with it 100%. I mean, my business is my business, and that's the way that it should be. You shouldn't be spilling your marital relationships on social media. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because, and you do that because you don't have a communication development between you and your spouse. You have nowhere else to let it go. So that's where you go, which is not the right thing. Communication is one of the major pitfalls of marriage. because people don't know how to talk anymore.
Correct.
And people don't know the difference between talking to me and talking at me. There's a big difference. I could get a lot from you by you sitting down, having a heart-to-heart conversation with me without you sitting there in your conversation. I can hear the insinuations, and a lot of times I said, but don't take what I said like that. No, I take it as you put it out there.
Right.
Because that's
Right.
all I have to go on. The same thing with facial expression. Don't read my face. Why not? It tells everything. It tells everything, but people don't think that it does. But your facial expression, your body language tells a lot. So back to social media, I just don't think that it's the proper thing to do to communicate with your marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Your marriage is, I don't like to call it an institution. It's a covenant. It's a covenant that you take with one another to build together, to share together, to learn together. And if you're putting everything out there on social media, I come home and I'm reading this. I'm like, what? She didn't say this to me, or he didn't say this to me. How do you think that other person feels being not the first person to know what your situation is when they should be?
Right.
You put me behind everybody else.
Yeah.
I
Right.
should be
Right.
the first one that you should
First.
feel comfortable coming to talk about any and everything. And if you
Mm-hmm.
don't feel that way about that person, then you need to check that out. You need to really figure out, why is it that I can't talk to them? Why is it that I don't feel comfortable talking to them, and that I need to go on social media and listen to someone talk to me or respond back to me that I don't even know?
Correct. Correct.
So that's what I feel. And the texting with you in the house, quiet as it's kept, my husband and I do that because we're so far. Well, my house is and he's on one side and I'm on the other side, and I'm not going to go all the way downstairs to ask you what you want to eat. So I will text him to ask him what he wants to eat. But as far as sitting here saying, I'm texting him saying, I'm pretty upset with you about this, or I'm upset. No,
Right.
no,
Right.
no.
Definitely.
It's worth me going down there and talking to you, sitting down, turn off the TV, turn off everything so that we can focus and that you can really hear me and understand what's going on. And that's how we're going to deal with it. So that's my feeling about that.
Great. I love it. I love it. And yeah, I would have said the same thing. So yeah, I love it. So a big one, trust. How do you feel once trust has been broken? Do you think it's possible for someone to ever trust a person again? Can it be rebuilt? Because we all know, there's times when that trust has been broken, and you could be going to the store to get a loaf of bread, and they'll think you're going out the door for everything you do is going to be revolving back to you breaking that trust. So how do you feel about that as far as breaking trust, having trust broken in a relationship, and then trying to rebuild that trust?
That is a heavy, heavy, heavy subject, especially when it comes to women. I'm going to be selfish and go on the woman's side. Because a lot of the trust that is broken is a big percentage is infidelity.
Mm-hmm.
When a woman allows herself to be in relationship with a man, she is putting herself into that man.
Right.
No matter what she's been through in the past, she's still holding on to that too a little bit. but she's trying to build something with you, and she sees that it's, it's okay, it might happen, so I'm good, so I'm going to let it down just a little bit. You see me a little bit more? Do you see me a little bit more? And then you do something, and then there goes the wall again. The wall is up. It takes her a long time, if ever, to trust you again, because she's allowed herself to be open. She's allowed herself to be vulnerable. She's given of herself. Sometimes women have, it's like me. I relocated. I relocated my whole being from the city of Chicago to be with my husband. And if he was to do something, that's all I'm gonna say there. But I gave up a lot. I gave up a lot because I really realized that this was what I needed to do. I needed to rid myself of everything that I was familiar with. Everything that was connected to me, I had to get rid of that. I had to get away from the familiar. And I left that. I left my home. I sold my home and everything to come and live with my husband 3,000 miles away. And imagine if something was to happen with trust. That would take me in, because I've given so much of myself. And that's the way people are. It's like, if I'm gonna be with you, let's be together. That means I gotta trust you. I gotta be open with you. I gotta be honest with you. I'm trying to build something here. And then it's like you're over here pulling me down like a crab in a barrel, with all this unnecessary stuff that's causing distrust. Why? Why is that? How much of this did you know about this person before you got married?
Right.
Did you know that they were, that they had past infidelity issues, male or female? Doesn't matter. Did you know that? Did you know that they had other issues? Did you know that they had financial issues? Did you know, that they had 12 baby mamas tucked away somewhere, or, and all of a sudden he's springing up and saying, now we're going to be a blended family. Really? Okay. So where did all of this come from? That means she can't trust you. She can't trust what you say. She can't trust what you do. So now, as you say, every time you darken the door, I'm sitting there twiddling my fingers, wondering where you going. Now I'm gonna put a now I'm gonna spend money and put a tracer on your car because I gotta know where you going. Life is too short. Life is too short to be going through those changes with people. You don't trust them. You don't trust them, and you have to be honest about that and understand and get to the root of why you don't trust that person.
Right.
They didn't just get there like that.
I love it. So another thing, so many people today, they have issues, and a lot of time you have that problem that it just sits there and you don't talk about that problem, and then you go into, we haven't spoke all week, but then on that one day that I blow in your ear or whatever, and now we're in the bed, and we basically, in the bed, and then once we're done, either the other party get up out of the bed or you lay there and you don't speak with each other. So that problem, basically still exists. So many people, they be in relationships and it goes on for years and years and years. You have nothing in common. You can't stand the sight of each other. And basically all you'll do is basically have sex here and there. You'll communicate here and there. And, how do you feel about that? I mean, I'm sure you've heard of those stories as well, where people, so basically your whole frame of your relationship pretty much has been demolished. You're living in a house, you hardly speak to each other. You go to work, you come home, one may sit at the table and eat, the other one may be in the other room eating. And like I said, every now and then you may get into bed and, I'm not even gonna say make love, basically you have sex and then you're not talking again. Do you feel like when it gets to that point, it's like time to call it quits, or should we see a counselor? What is it that you feel like they should do, at that point?
Seeking counsel at that point, is kind of non-existing. If you've gotten
Uh-huh.
to that point, if you've done this for years and this is what you're doing, you're not happy. So why do you want to continue to be with someone and be unhappy? That's more stressful than being with the person, and you're married and you're going along and then something stumbles and you get over that stuff. It's even worse than that. It's like, I have to get up with you every day. I have to see you every day. Why? And we're nothing but we're playing a game with each other.
Right.
You're
right.
playing Find Dora, and and I'm playing Finding Dora, and you're playing Free Willy. So what do we get out of this? Nothing.
Right.
You get nothing out of this, and it's 2 to 5 minutes of satisfaction. Okay, is it really worth that?
Right.
Is it worth it? Is he the only dong in the city? Okay. Is she the only bearded person in the city? No, she's not. But you're not allowing yourself to go out of that comfort zone because it's comfortable.
Right.
Because the other persons are allowing it to happen. They're allowing to just go on because it's working this way. She's helping me pay the bills. I'm helping her do this. So we're living, because if we go separate ways, we got it on our own. We got to handle all this by ourselves. But right now it's working because we got to work together to get the bills paid, the roof over the head, the car payments, and all this other stuff. Right. So there's ulterior motives.
Right.
To why people stay in relationships that are deader than a doornail. It can't be. I mean, the sex is okay. Don't get me wrong. The sex is okay. But sooner or later, that wears down too.
Right.
Get off of Fantasy Island and come on the real side. And understand that it don't last forever. And it's not going to feel the same, because you're going to lose elasticity. So it's not going to stay the same.
Right.
And he's going to shrivel away. So it's not going to stay the same. So now what do you do?
Right.
What do you do?
Right.
You're just existing in a lie. In a lie.
Right.
So that's one instance where you can lie, because you're living it. It's not getting you anywhere.
Right.
So that's what I feel about that.
Okay. And basically, to piggyback off of that one, talking about keeping the spark in a relationship, sometimes, I hear people say, well, man, it's just, I just don't know, things just not the same, and, I just don't get it. It's all about keeping a spark in the relationship. You have to keep that fire ignited. And it's not always about sex. It's not always about sex. But if you do different things to set the mood, sometimes it's all about getting in the car, going for a drive, go to the park, take that old bread, go to the park and feed the ducks. I guarantee you, during that time of you feeding the duck out and you seeing that water coming, they're going to lay their head on you, and that's going to set a mood, for later. So what do you do, to kind of keep the spark alive for date night and things of that nature? What type of things do you do?
We do date night. Almost like every Friday. We'll do something Friday or Saturday. We'll do date, because my husband works some late hours and stuff. But we make it a point to share that time with just us, doing what we want to do. And sometimes we'll just go and just ride to White Tank Mountain, or we'll just, sit and we'll play card games or something, or sit in the backyard and sit in the pool, or, just something. It doesn't have to be major and costly, but making sure that you take that time away from everything else your phone, the computer, everything, and just sit it aside and just be you and he. And as you say, those little things that you do builds up into bigger things. It can lead
Mm-hmm.
into, having a very wonderful intimate night, where, you all come home and stuff, and he done gone and doing something else. And then she go change clothes and put on a nice lingerie. And then she texts him and say, I need some help. I'm doing something. I need some help in the bedroom. And there
Uh-huh.
you are. Ding, ding, ding. You're all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. You just need to learn how to set those boundaries between
Right.
everyday life and your life, and
Mm-hmm.
set that time aside where it's something that you both can enjoy doing together. Doesn't necessarily have to be just what he wants to do or she wants to do, but what is it together that you all like? Do you like cooking? Do you like
Right.
cooking together, or things like that? You make your fun. But you have to do it. You have to, in order to keep your
Mm-hmm.
sanity. You have to find a way to separate yourself away from the everyday mundane stuff.
Right. Right. Okay. I love it. I love it. Date night is very important.
It
Very
is.
important.
It
So
is.
before we wrap up, let's talk finances. How do you feel about, let's just say one party is very responsible with finances, and the other party is, not, they're very, very trashy with finances. They just pretty much throw money away. Do you feel they should have a joint bank account, or at this point just have just one bank account? I mean,
Okay.
I'm sorry, a joint bank account, or just have separate bank accounts?
hmm Okay. Again, this goes back to communication, something that you really should get a grip on before you even get married. Is, where are you
Mm-hmm.
financially stable at? Where are you standing financially? Because especially here in Arizona, which is a community property state, everything that you do here, once you're married, everything that you do here reflects back on your spouse. Okay. So you have to be very careful about being with someone who is very frivolous when it comes to finances. We're not saying that you have to live like a miser, where you're walking around with your closed fists. We're not saying that. But what I'm saying is that you have to learn how to be responsible, because now you have another person. So if she is the strong one, then you allow her to be the strong one, and let her deal with the financial part of it. But at the same time, keeping you as the male or female in the loop as far
Mm-hmm.
as what you're doing and how you're doing it, because you're not going to be healthy every day. And there's going to be a time when it's going to fall on them to have to take that responsibility. You don't want them going into the responsibility with those three words that I don't like. I don't know, because there's no reason for you not to know.
Right.
So, whatever you do financially, you keep your partner in the loop as to what you are doing. Now, as far as having a bank account or separate bank accounts, that can work for some people. You have one bank account, a family bank account, or whatever, that will consist of the monies that will take care of every expense in your household. Every expense, that is exactly what that bank account does. It takes care of our living expenses. Then you have a separate account where you have your account and I have my account, but you know what's in both of them. It's no surprises, but you do what you may with it, but realize this is what you got.
Mm-hmm.
Some people go as far as saying, giving them their spouse's allowance. Well, okay, okay. So now you're going to resort to feeling like a child. But
Right.
um,
Right.
but if that is the best way that you can handle getting a grip on control of how the finances are handled, then maybe that's a starting point. But I wouldn't say stay there. Men tend to want to be in control. Okay. So of course they're going to want to be control of the money. I make the money, I want to spend, that kind of thing. But the woman may be a little wiser in handling it, knowing how to write the bills out, knowing how to write the check out, or going online to pay the bills, or when the bills are due, or but making sure that those things are taken care of. That can be her responsibility. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to stay that way. As I said in the beginning, everything changes, things evolve over time, everything changes. So your way of doing something this time may not follow through 10 years from now. The way that we lived 10 years ago may be totally different, and your mind frame may be a little bit different. Your responsibility level may be different. The way that you view money now may be different. So you have to give them that chance to grow into being responsible so that everybody can share in the responsibility.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I'm sure we got some great comments and stuff, so people are definitely getting it. They're enjoying the discussion. We're going to wrap it up. So basically, I just want you to pretty much just wrap up the entire discussion. Basically, just coming from you, what, just in your brief description, just let me know, what does a healthy relationship look like from your point of view? What does a healthy relationship look like? And if someone is having trouble in their relationship right now, what type of advice would you give them to work towards constructing that healthy relationship?
A healthy relationship, that's kind of a broad term, only because what makes a relationship thrive depends on the needs of the couple. So you have to have the proper ingredients to have a healthy relationship. And those proper ingredients are some of the things that we've touched on this evening. Excuse me. This
Bless
evening.
you.
Thank you. Such as open communication and trust, a sense of who you are, your curiosity, your intimacy, the teamwork. All of that is part of a healthy relationship. Building on those things that may not seem like it's a lot, but once you put them all together, they all should intertwine with one another to make it healthy. The point where I'm not worried about where my relationship is going. I'm excited about it. I'm not angry at my spouse. We're joyful together. We're striving together. We're building together. We're anticipating the future together. So that's part of that healthy relationship. For someone that is going through a really tough time right now, if it's not too late, I do encourage counseling. I really do. And to have counseling with someone who has no particular interest in you all personally, but to talk with someone who can give you sound advice, not necessarily a minister, not necessarily a psychologist, but someone, it could be, someone of your choice that you trust. But to talk it out, it's always good to talk out your differences and your problems with someone, because there's always room for opinion. Because once you start talking to someone, you're actually asking their opinion. And my view about it may be something totally different than your view. I look at things, as the whole picture. I'm looking at the frame and everything, where opposed when you're in your mess, all you see is the picture. You don't see the decorative frame on the outside of what it could be. So you seek help, you seek counsel, And once you've done that, and if you feel that you've done that and it's still not, you continue the conversation between the two of you. And if you feel at that point that it's really still not going anywhere, then you have to determine within yourself whether it's healthy or not for you and she to stay together. It may not be. Sometimes people part and they become the best of friends. They're like the partner that they never had, because
Right.
we don't
Right.
have that connection where we feel responsible for the other person. I'm still free to do what I want to do. So I just say that you stay prayerful. If you have a praying life, that you stay prayerful, and that you begin to think positive and say things positive, because what you think and what you say can be two different things. So what spews out of your mouth is what you place in the atmosphere. And you don't want
Right.
to place negativity into the atmosphere because it falls upon negative ears.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be strong in what you know, strong in what you believe. You have to trust your relationship. You have to be faithful in your relationship. And first and foremost, you have to want the relationship.
Yes. First and foremost, you have to want the
Yes.
relationship. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Because if you don't want it, then you just want somebody to keep you company.
Absolutely.
And basically it's definitely going to lead to a lot of, problems.
That's true.
And that's basically what we talked about earlier. It definitely creates, a lot of unbalance in a
True.
relationship when one want it and one don't. One is working towards something and one don't. And I'll be honest with myself. One of the things that I talked about today was communication. And like for me, for the past few months, I've been working out of state. And, my wife, she gets on me a lot because she's like, you didn't call me. You didn't call me. You said you was going to call me back, and finally it's like, never be too busy, because some people don't even want to speak with their spouse. So, appreciate them wanting to have that time to talk,
True.
so now it's, where you create balance, okay, I work, I know I'm working here, I know I'm working on this here, but I have to create balance throughout the day on the time that we're going to talk,
Mm-hmm.
and because it's not only going to, it's not only, no, don't feel like you have to do it, but yeah, you should want to communicate with your spouse, because they need, and that was one of the questions I was going to ask you, but I didn't get around to it. And it was basically about creating that balance, when you have vision and dreams and you have, you know, uh, uh, a job, that you are trying to create on the side, but you have to create balance. You can't be so busy working on your dream that you don't make time for your spouse,
That's right.
because yeah, they're going to be there to support you, but it can be a point where they'll break off and don't be a supporting factor anymore when they feel like that your dream is more important than them, and, you never should get to the point where you're so busy building your dream that you don't have time, for your spouse. So that's something that, basically I had to, factor in and figure out, okay, so at this time I'm cutting off, my business that I'm doing, I'm cutting this off at this time of day. I'm gonna make time for the kids, I'm gonna make time for the wife, because if not, we get carried away before we know it, if there isn't that communication. She could have easily just shut down on me and not said anything, but
True.
because she opened her mouth and said, you don't halfway call me,
Mm-hmm.
that, was a wake-up call for me. So now, okay, you're definitely right, I apologize, I have to do better. And that helped me work on myself. So,
True.
I didn't get to that question, but I kind of answered it myself.
You did. You did. You did good too.
Yeah. Yeah. But thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
coming on today.
Anytime.
I can tell from the comments that, our streamers really, really enjoyed it. We had people basically when we were talking about the finances. Mr. Ivy said you definitely need to talk and agree in advance on financial affairs. My brother Mike Brown, he talked about, he commented and said you definitely need to take time for each other. No kids. Basically, send the message to even the kids, the daddy and mommy are putting each other first. Sometimes that's definitely a must to do.
That's true.
So many comments. Charles Etta says she do believe trust can be rebuilt, but it requires a lot of work on both parts. Miss Covington, she basically said, when we were talking about finances, basically what we talked about early on, she said, because you had spoke about there are so many platforms out there that you can do research. And she talked about, pulling each other's credit reports, basically to compare things. So George Johnson, he said, being single, he's learned a lot from this discussion today. So we had some great comments in here. And, I just thank you so much for coming on today. Like I said, I met you years ago when you married good friends of me and my wife, Cynthia and Tone. And years later, they're still together. I know you counseled them before they got married. And obviously you gave them a great blueprint because we both know, they've endured some obstacles since they've been married, Tone's health and a lot of stuff. And a lot of people would have just been like, this is too much. I'm walking away. So obviously you gave them a great blueprint because they're still together. And more than anything, what you said a little bit ago, if you have a praying life, you have to learn to pray through it. And I know, they definitely, do a lot of that. So I just thank you for coming on today. And hopefully we can bring you back soon, because since you've came on and touched base on relationships, in the future, I would like to do an episode where we kind of get couples on and we kind of, go old school and kind of play kind of comparison to the newlywed game, but we'll be like, how well do you know your spouse? Right. So I would love to bring you back on and, have you and maybe someone else to kind of host it and just have fun. I think that'll be a fun episode. So we definitely want to do that in the future. For anyone that's streaming for the first time today, thank you so much for coming on streaming. Be sure to connect with me during the week. Basically, my Instagram _Eric Winfield. Follow me on my Facebook fan page, LifeStruction with Eric. On Sundays when we stream, if you know somebody that would like to connect and they don't have Facebook, we also stream as well on YouTube. So definitely stream with us, connect with me on those social media platforms. We post some great stuff during the week that kind of leads up to what we'll be talking about on Sundays. Also, the t-shirts will be in this Wednesday. So we'll be plugging that on our website as well. Those My Life is Under Construction t-shirts. So we'll have a link set up on the website and we'll start taking orders if you would like to have one. And let's see what else. Also, I have a link on my website for those of you that know about my LifeStruction book. I'm working right now. God gave me the vision to try to purchase at least 1,000 copies of my book. And I want to go out to different facilities, halfway houses, things of that nature, and just distribute my book to these people so they can read it, people that seeking structure in their life. So I'm trying to purchase 1,000 books. So I have a link on my site, on that website that you see streaming on the bottom. You can go there. There's a donation link. No amount is too small. Definitely help me out. Go on my website and donate. Definitely want to try to start doing that in July where we can start going out to facilities and donate books and speak to these people that's trying to rebuild their lives and help them get some structure in their lives. Other than that, I think that is about it. Once again, I thank you, Miss Stephanie, for coming on today and giving that powerful discussion. Is there anyone that have any questions before we close? All right, so if we don't have any questions, you guys have a great week. And remember to start each day smiling from your heart.
Yes.
Because basically your glow on you will definitely bless someone else. You know, don't forget, never get so caught up in your issues that you walk out of your door and you'll be in the presence of others and you carry that same persona into that room, because there's somebody always in your presence that's going through something worse than you are. So I guarantee if you smile from your heart, it will create a glow, and you can walk into a dead room, as I always say, and you can be the light that shifts that entire room.
Yes.
So with that, you guys be blessed and have an awesome week. Tune in next week. We'll have a guy on and he'll be talking about finances. You definitely want to chime in for that one. But definitely, thank you guys for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Blessings.